Yes, English, Spanish, French, and Arabic. Can you just check? Hannah was going to be asking for access to record in Arabic. Okay. Can you assign authorization to record? I will start recording in Spanish and then we will start. Morning, good afternoon, good evening for all of you. We are beginning our fourth and last session of co-learning on social production of habitat. I am Arely Sandoval, Officer of Learning at HIC. It is a pleasure to reach this moment in time with all of you, with this wonderful team. We have been working for several months now, and we have the opportunity today to hold a series of so interesting conversations. I kindly ask you to choose your interpretation channel. We have 4 languages available: English, French, Spanish, and Arabic. I will be speaking in Spanish, but we have Leon that will be conducted in French and Hassem Abdallah that will be conducting the facilitation on Arabic. So we really need you to pick the language of your preference in the interpretation channels. We are at this 4th session. How did we make it all this way? It hasn't been a quick process. It hasn't been easy either, but it has been so enriching. We made it all this way to this session to define our common voice and common objectives as a coalition, to promote an advocacy and mobilization agenda as a coalition on a topic that has been there for decades, on the work that we have been doing at HIC, that is the social production of habitat. You will recall that if you have been joining us for several months as participants, that we had already made some consultations on the different regions regarding the social production of habitat. We created an online survey that many of you were able to answer. And with all of that, we built a program along with facilitators from the 3 regions where there is much more presence of organization of our coalition, that is Northern Africa, Latin America. And then we prepare the content of these 4 sessions with international experts. We have reached the month of November where we have set up 4 sessions. This is the 4th one on social production of habitat with HIC members, friends, and partners. We have also had these asynchronous activities. Between one session and the other one, we have had interaction with our attendees. We will not conclude today. This is the last session, but not the last step. You will see that from now on, we will have time to reflect on what we have learned, the knowledge that we have acquired, and we will be preparing materials to make a larger disclosure or spread. So here we can summarize. Today, we want to reflect on the conceptualization of social production of habitat, considering what we have been seeing throughout the month. That is the different contexts, different experiences, and the different regional challenges that have been shared during the co-learning phase, so we can develop this common voice as a coalition that will enable us to advocate in a more specific way and mobilize ourselves with much more strength on this topic. That means we need to collectively craft a co-voice. We have to have the frame, we have to have the context, but also we have to understand. I lost.
Areli, tienes el micrófono apagado.
¿Se apagó de repente? ¿O
Did it mute all of a sudden?
Pensar e imaginar.
Think and imagine. That's where you stopped being heard. Well, okay. Thinking and imagining, reflecting and imagining. Well, it's precisely to imagine what is the path that we must take, what are the objectives, and what we want to do as a coalition. And then I will tell you that our session will be divided in two parts. First part for this conceptual reflection to enrich and to nourish the base of our participants based on the asynchronic activity that we held before this session. And out of that, we'll be able to nourish, to enrich our answers. And on the second part, we will have the strategic deliberation. We will be hearing two very important insights to give you the tone of a strategic deliberation that has to do how we are going to be organizing ourselves, how we will be keep on working on this topic after the sessions. And this is it for the introduction. And now I will ask Leon Gaimonfu to continue by facilitating the session, making a summary of what we have seen during these three past sessions. And now I give him the floor. Leon, the floor is yours.
Merci Aurélie de me passer la parole. Et merci aussi pour
Thank you, Aurélie, for giving me the floor. And thank you for the many people who have joined for today's meeting, supporters as well as activists.
Sorry, excuse me. ما فيش ترجمة عربي. Not speak Arabic. Translate Arabic.
Il faut aller doucement.
So we should go slowly. Can he continue?
¿Pueden confirmar que hay interpretación en árabe, Mandy?
Can you confirm if there's interpretation in Arabic, Mandy?
Mandy, could you please confirm that you are translating into Arabic?
كده سامعينك. دلوقتي سامعاكي. اوكي. تمام. Go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, merci.
Thank you once more. As I was saying, I am delighted with all the work that we have done since the start of these core learning sessions and spaces. Today, at the end of this fourth session, we are presenting to you a brief summary of all the work that we have been able to do for close to 1 month or more in our core learning spaces. On the pathways and the key content on these core learning spaces on social production of habitat, we had session number 1 held on the 9th of November, titled Contextualization, Origin, and Pathways of Social Production of Habitat towards a common understanding which is cross-regional within HIC. I will give you a brief summary. One, the contribution made by Enrique Ortiz worked to underline 5 key phases contained in social production of habitat. Number 1 was to know promotion and integration. Number 2, planning. Phase number 3 is on construction, which is the production phase itself. Phase number 4 is distribution. This is in relation also to phase number 5, which is on the use and management of habitat. Next slide. Afterwards, we went through a process of creating habitable spaces, urban components, and housing that has been done under the control of other social agents and producers, which are not-for-profit organizations working in rural and urban areas. And this could be at the level of individual households, organized in formal groups or social enterprises such as cooperatives. I would like to say that in this level of social production of habitat as defined, it enables us to see how we can set up communities to adopt a self-managed social production initiative and common cooperatives that deal with issues of habitat. These initiatives enable us to understand that social production of habitat is not a commodity, is not a capitalist commodity to be traded, but it is a right. This was the phase that was shared during session number 1. Session number 2, we had a discussion on social production of habitat in practice. And during this session, we had a panel discussion for experience sharing. During this panel discussion, we had a discussion on qualities, challenges, and advantages of social production of habitat processes. And the reflection during the panel discussion enabled us to hear experiences and perspectives from 5 countries of 3 regions of the world. In this case, Brazil, Mexico, South Africa, Sierra Leone, and Lebanon. Next slide. On session number 3, which was highly concentrated on legal instruments and frameworks, as well as national and international public policies in favor of social production of habitat. During this session, we learned lessons from 3 national and international cases of social production of habitat, public policies and laws. We had a case study from the city of Jakarta in Indonesia and Buenos Aires in Argentina, not forgetting Kenya. During this 3rd session, we also explored key content supporting social production of habitat within certain national, within certain global agendas. We also reflected on their strategic use. Next slide. As regards other matters, we will come back to them during our discussions throughout today's meeting. Thank you, Areli. I would like right now to pass it over so that Nina can be introduced to give her intervention. Please mute Jose. His mic is on.
¿Podemos pedir que silencien los micrófonos?
Can
José,
we kindly ask you to mute your mic? Thank you so much, Leon, for having summarized so nicely or halfway during these 3 sessions. As you all know, all of this has nourished us, and now we will be sharing some reflections. And now I'm going to ask our second facilitator, Hasem Abdallah, to guide us through this first round of exchange and reflection. Hasem, you have the floor.
شكرا أريلي، وشكرا ليون، شكرا جزيلا على كل ما قدمتموه. أنا اسمي حازم عبد الله، أنا من الأردن ومن جمعية اسمها دبين للتنمية البيئية. سعيد
Thank you
جدا.
very much. I'm very happy to be with you today in this day. What we're going to do in the next 20 minutes is that we're going to open the door for questions and discussion. I'm going to ask the facilitators and from the HIC team to share with us the idea that we learned from our sessions and that will help us. We raised this question before in relation to the Google Classrooms that was made specifically for these sessions, and now it's your call. Maybe you can raise a question as it appears on the presentation slides. And what are the ideas that attracted you during the last learning sessions that are going to enrich your knowledge?
تفضلي أنا.
Please proceed.
Ana Pastor tiene la mano levantada.
Bueno, muchas gracias, Hasem. Gracias,
Thank you so much,
Thank you very
Hasem.
much.
This is Ana Pastor speaking. On the question, what are the ideas that were resounding, echoing with me? I think that during these sessions, we have seen so many different experiences, unique experiences for each of the regions. But here I would like to refer to the common finding that we obtain from the different regions and that will enable us to give a concept to the definition of social production of habitat. I see two things that are common to all regions, and that has to do with the issue. All regions, we have an issue on access to housing, access to the land. And all of the regions, all regions have an issue on informal settlements. Obviously, some regions are more severe than others, but in all regions, these two issues exist. Now I want to focus. I reviewed all sessions, and I found some keys that will enable us to give definition in the future. Key common values, common strategies, and common challenges. Key elements of social production of habitat that have been raised during the sessions. On the one side, we say the social production of habitat is the ownership collective of our habitat, planning and produce, and with no profit.
convencernos de que el territorio es
to
un
convince
derecho.
ourselves that the territory is a right. It's not a good, not a merchandise. Another key is participation, being present, decision making, and deciding to organize to solve collectively within your own culture. Another key element that was raised, the control of the process on the hands of the actors. When we're talking about social production of habitat, we're talking about a process. We are not on the side. It's not on the object. It is the process we're talking about. It's not neither the land nor the habitat. There are many ways that we can have social production of habitat. Access to land, to housing, defending, evictions, or improving illegal settlements. And the other thing that I saw as key is self-management, guaranteeing much more respectful ways of having sustainable spaces. Self-management is not self-construction, though. Those are the key elements. The other thing, the other topic that I identify is values. Values were common across regions. We said, perspective of human rights. The person is at the center. It is the right, not the market. The process of social production of habitat then has a sense on personal life, family life, community life, and conquering other rights. That's how we can empower the community, strengthen the community. It is a process throughout which everybody wins. Regarding the strategy, that will be the third topic that was raised, we had several strategies, but what is key is that from the problem itself, self-perceived of the person or family, going to meet somebody that has the same problem. And from that, they share their reflection. And from that shared reflection, they go to the plan. You analyze the context, you choose the gaps, you choose the path to follow. It's to be preparing yourself to negotiate, resist, and act. The strategy from organization will lead you to look at the partners. Don't remain alone vis-a-vis all the politics and intersectoral actions. And then we see the distribution of roles, of functions, according to the capabilities that we are finding through in the members integrating that coalition. And then we have the process of self-management. We also saw that. And then financing. Well, we have to take care that financing will not be leading us to lose control of the process. The other thing that was raised is to celebrate achievement. Celebrating achievements gives us a strength to fight. And planning is an ongoing, because you get a solution and then you replan, always within participating processes, and strengthen the fight with popular training and partnership. This was mentioned very strongly. Another strategy is mobilization. And the last that we could identify was we had the challenges. The challenges, among challenges we have, give the logic to the market. In Spanish, we can be understood. It is not the same thing. Everything's worth that is contrary to everybody's worth. Each one has to realize that each person has a worth. We have a value as an individual, and the organization is the strength that we have against the interest coming from the outside, the powerful actions from the market. that will make us fight. In this way, we are dominated with an exterior power, they divide us. We have to have public policies, on social production of habitat, either rural or urban. We need to be crying out loud from the communities until those decision makers hear us and legislators hear us. And up to there, that's what I could connect the dots among the wealth of the insights that we heard during the 3 previous sessions on social production of habitat. Should I go directly? Okay, well, thank you, Ana, for your review and analysis of key elements that has been so enriching. I wanted to share a thought with you from the context of Dominican Republic and having heard all those previous sessions. At República Dominicana, social production of habitat, they started out to be promoted as an alternative to forced eviction in a specific area of Santo Domingo. Throughout this session, we have been hearing, particularly the first session, that they were telling us the right to the land is not legislated at international level. We do have some components that are linked to other rights, such as legal security on holding the rights, but there's not a specific legislation on this. So oftentimes, the occupation of the territory of poor families is criminalized. So thinking about what has been said, Mona Fagua was talking about the threats of forced evictions in Lebanon. Francis was talking about forced evictions in other areas, in Sierra Leone. And then we heard about the fight for the land or social production of habitat in Brazil. Maria Carla Rodriguez was telling us about issues that self-managed housing on the frame of 340 in 2008 does not allow the purchase of land for social production of habitat projects. So I wanted to bring a final idea, the social production of habitat, in addition of being all these processes that are generating spaces to be housing for all the people that Enrique Ortiz has defined. Sometimes it's also generated as an alternative for forced eviction. It's being developed as a fight of consistent fight in the territory. Gentrification can be created, state investments or private investments, and then leaving the population to be poor, at the poorest level. And up to here, my intervention.
شكرا لك فيرجينا، وشكرا لأنا أيضا على كل الكلمات الملهمة والمهمة. الآن أنا لا أعرف إن كان معنا أيضا.
Thank you very much for your participation.
Can I come in?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. So thank you. It has been a very good experience learning from all the people that we invited to come into the sessions and speak to us about the place of social production of habitat in the different contexts. And in my opinion, some of the things that really resonated with me from the different sessions that we had was the place of collective rights of all people living in a specific space. And when we speak about collective rights, what I saw from all the discussions that went around, they were hinged on the 7 components of adequate housing. Whether we speak about security of tenure, whether we talk about the question of availability of services, we speak about the question of affordability to housing, when we speak about the question of people living in habitable environments, the question of accessibility to different services, the question of location to services, and most importantly, the place of the culture of the people who are living in certain spaces, and the extent to which the culture is respected and the culture resonates with the areas that they live in. And I think specifically, even when I look at the African context, a lot of discussions went back to also what was when we were thinking about the challenges that led to the recognition of social production of habitat, even though even areas like in the African context, we've not been able to define and really see what people are doing as social production of habitat. The challenges goes back to even what happened during the colonial period and historical land injustices. And also for the Latin America, I think I really appreciated what Enrique was speaking about, the place of not only providing technical support, but really ensuring that people own up they own up and really contribute to how their environments look like. So I think what really captured me from this whole discussion was aspects of looking at the 7 aspects of adequate housing, and also the question of collective rights, not only to land, but also to services. And the moment we embrace collectiveness, that's the moment we'll kill the issue of commoditization of habitat and commoditization of housing in general. Thank you.
شكرا جزيلا ايرين.
Thank you very much, Irene. Maybe we can take also the intervention because you were participating in all the previous session. Thank you very much. And at the same time, I would like to ask you 2 minutes only because we would like to take other answers. Thank you very much. Please proceed.
موسى نحن لا نسمع، كنت تتحدث.
الو
نعم نسمعك الآن، تفضل.
Merci beaucoup de m'avoir donné la parole.
Thank you for giving me the floor.
Je voulais tout simplement dire merci beaucoup du
I would just
conseil
like to simply say thank you to the board
et du secrétariat général de ces belles initiatives.
and the General Secretariat for this good initiative.
Merci beaucoup aussi à toutes les
I would
panélistes
also like to thank all the panelists today,
et tous les intervenants pour leur participation à
as well
cette
as the
émission.
speakers for their participation, which has been enriching
Important processus.
in this very important process.
Nos chaleureuses félicitations aussi à l'espace co-learning
Warm congratulations also for the organizers of this co-learning space
pour avoir relevé ce challenge
for having dealt with this challenge
d'organiser ces 4 sessions sur la justice climatique
and for organizing these 4 sessions concerning climate justice
et 4 autres sur la production sociale de l'habitat.
and the other 4 on social production of habitat.
Et je pense que c'est important de capitaliser
I think
et de pérenniser.
it's important to capitalize on this and make it sustainable for the longer term.
Je vous remercie de votre attention.
Thank you for your kind attention.
شكرا لك موسى، شكرا لحضورك الدائم ومتابعتك لكل الجلسات، ونتمنى أن تكون.
Thank you, Musa, for your intervention and your follow-up for all the previous sessions. And before getting to the other speaker, I was a facilitator, but I benefited a lot. That's why I see that some interventions are very important.
Thank you, Hazem. I'm very happy. Despite having been one of the facilitators, I'm also very happy with this participation. I benefited from the experiences, especially that in our region in Egypt, we suffer from housing issues. The thing that drew my attention most is not only the alternative housing. This is what we suffer from in Egypt, that some areas are um, taken out without providing alternative housing, especially in some of the areas that have agriculture or industry. I benefited very much from the social production experience about how citizens participate with the government, how they reach solutions, how they participate with the government and offer solutions, the role of civil society and human rights organizations, because this is really a point of suffering in Egypt, as well as for the violations that we suffer from. I was very happy to hear the various experiences. I benefited from a very interesting experience. Thank you all. Thank you, Maha. We're very happy with that you are with us. Marina, go ahead in 2 or less minutes.
Thank
شكرا.
you.
هل
Can you hear me?
تسمعونني؟
Can you hear
إذا
me?
كنتم
Yes, we can hear you, Marina. Well,
شكرا.
thank you so much for giving the floor. First of all, I would like to thank all of you, the entire team, and all of the facilitators of this amazing journey. And I would also like to thank all of the panelists that it was very interesting and important. We had important teachers, we had an entire path where we have been learning and we continue learning. And just to give you an overview of all of the journey that we have had and the experience that we have had, well, I do believe that it concerns us and it should concern us. The problems are the same: the access to the land, the budgets, and the discrimination because you are a woman and you are in other countries, and we have this destined for women. Maybe we have this privilege in Latin America. From Argentina, we also have all of that point of view, and this helps us and it teaches us as a facilitator on a daily basis that we have learned the experiences of each country, and we also learn a lot and to overcome and to educate our people the best that we can. I wish that most of the people and all of the actors could have this privilege that I have, to be able to raise the hand and say, here I am, and this is what I do. This is very important. But the truth is that what we want to do is the unity of the populations of every country will make us stronger to be able to have access to land and to fight for our rights, to an adequate housing for all of us, and that we could for all of us that inhabit this world, and to fight for the budget. And the unity is the most important thing at this moment. If there's no unity, then alone we are not gonna be able to overcome this. In Argentina, we have fragmentation and division. The government is what makes this fragmentation. To one they give some, to others they give a little bit, so that makes us to be fragmented, and that is why we have so much problems. But I do believe that this journey of co-learning has helped us to open our minds and to think, to be able to fight in unity, fight together. Most of all, the access to land, right? To be able to produce our habitat, our our housing and everything that every family needs and has, and to fight for or all of our needs. Thank you so much for giving a few minutes for me to speak, and I hope we can continue having contact. The experiences are very enriching and help us a lot. And I would like to thank all of the people that have participated because I have learned so much. Thank you so much, and have everyone a great afternoon, great evening in every country where you are. Thank you, Areli. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, everyone that is here today. That's all.
شكرا لك مارينا يعني بكل صدق على تواجدك الدائم وحضورك ومشاركتك وعلى مدخلاتك أيضا.
Thank you for participating and for your inputs as well. Before we go into the coming activity, as a facilitator, I wanted to share the concept of social production of habitat. I haven't heard of it or worked on it before, so it was an exceptional experience full of diversified knowledge. I will try to summarize what I learned about the concepts of social participation, active participation of the communities in planning, designing, and development, that for citizens to fulfill the population's needs. And also, we can see through our speakers the participatory design was also mentioned, that where citizens participate to make sure that the built environment fits with their lifestyles. As Anna said, that houses are not commodities, they are a right for the individuals and for the population, and they are a basic need that cannot be done without. The very strong concepts that we have talked about, and which all led us to advocacy, political work, and social work in order to achieve the fulfillment of the principles of the social production of habitat to guarantee sustainability, empowering people to demand their rights, demand their housing, to preserve also the heritage. Now I would like to move to the colleague Leon to transfer us to the next activity.
Okay. Merci, Azem.
Thank you very much, Hassam, for giving me the floor. I believe that the next activity is around the presentation of Nina Quintas.
Perdón, León, es el turno
Sorry, Leon, it is the strategic team turn.
Pedimos,
we would like to ask, I'm sorry, we would like to ask right now that the strategic team can intervene in a few minutes to be able to complement also this reflection before we go to the speaker. Okay, Leon? So that you can moderate also this part.
Okay. Merci.
Right, thank you for that clarification. So we're going to ask the strategic team to give us their viewpoints and impressions, as well as their perceptions of the process that we have been organizing from the first session we've had until this fourth session that we are having today. So right now, it's on the strategic team to speak about these co-learning spaces. The floor is open. Well, the strategic team is really silent. They do not want to have discussions, or what is it?
Yeah,
Desmond, over to you.
yeah. Thank you very much, Leon. And I want to welcome everyone here for this very important discussion. I'm Desmond Cheshu, the coordinator for Africa, HIC coordinator for Africa. For the 4 weeks and 4 sessions, the 3 sessions that have gone before, it was quite informative. And I don't want to actually overflow on what, because Anna Pastor have said a lot on why it is important for us to work together as a team cross-regionally. And you looked at the key things that he brought up, issue of land, housing, it cut across all the region, and it's an issue for all the region. And I reflect looking back to the presentation of Enrique, which he actually take time to go through the process of social production of habitat and all the stages and steps. And I'm very much concerned looking at the aspect of the self-control. That is the self-production, control and self-production of habitat, which in Africa is quite really going down in terms of the self-production, which we are all looking at issues of, okay, the government should produce, the government should give, and all of that. But it is clear, looking at the processes of self-production of habitat, that the self-control and self-production by the people, individuals themselves, is very key, and they must control and take ownership of it, whether it's in the rural area or urban areas. They must take control of that. And also the social agents, the agents that act on behalf of those that are most vulnerable, that can actually make up the voice. That is also something that I can say in Africa is actually not taken forward so much, because organizations that are working actually looked at the aspect of how they can get where fundings are going, and there's much interest. And I have working in this field, I have seen that there is no much interest, even from the donor or organization that support activities in this area. So it's critical and very important that we take up these issues to be able to see that, yes, we have raised a voice to see the importance of this. And one last point I will make is that looking at the process as satisfying, that is a good, but to take it as the exchange value, but you consider it to promote the value that is actually concerned for the people. So that should be the key thing, but not to look at in a way that we are looking at the market forces, which is taking over the process that's supposed to be for the right of the people. So that right, which is supposed to be the right of the people, is being taken in such a way that the market forces are the ones now determining the process. Thank you.
Desmond.
Well, thank you, Desmond, for that brilliant communication and contribution. I hope that other members of the strategic team will allow us to compile all the tools and information that they have been able to learn and obtain during the different sessions that we've held in this month of November. next person to speak from the strategic team. They will share with us their expertise as regards the vision on social production of habitat. Over to you, strategic team. Floor is open.
Joseph, Adriana, y Silvia.
Yes. Joseph, Adriana, and Sylvia.
Adriana.
Joseph, Sylvia, and Adriana, I think.
Joseph, over to you.
Okay.
Yes,
All right. Thank you.
Adriana.
Thank you, Leon. It's been very rich learning, a very rich learning process. Of course, when we began speaking about social production of habitat, as Desmond said, one of the main features is that it operates outside of the market. But another feature that we've been discussing now for decades is how social production succeeds without the intervention of the state, or in many cases, despite obstacles posed by the state. When we advocated in the Habitat 3 process to recognize social production of habitat, we also succeeded in that, whereby in two different instances, the new urban agenda recognizes a commitment of all states to support social production of habitat. And that really poses a kind of a dilemma or a challenge for us to then define in advocacy what we mean by that, what we expect the state to deliver or the state to do in order to support social production of habitat, keeping in mind that the intervention of the state can be very heavy, and we want to make sure that what we advocate does not push the state to somehow control in any way or supersede the autonomous nature of social production. But when we now go with our common understanding into the various forums of advocacy, we have to give meaning now to what we understand of state-supported social production of habitat, and that's where we have to get very specific. So that's not to be answered here, but certainly as we advocate in the future. Thanks.
Merci, Joseph.
Well, thank you, Joseph, for those insightful perspectives. I think we now give the floor to Adriana so that she can also give us her strategic point of view on this common vision that we have around social production of habitat. After
Leon,
Adriana.
I believe that Maria Silvia is first. Her hand was first.
Maria Silvia, oui.
All right, Maria Silvia, over to you.
Bueno, muchísimas gracias.
Thank you so much. I am the coordinator of the Office of HIC in Latin America in Mexico City, and it has been truly, I'm so happy to be with you and to be able to listen to so many experiences. I do share the summary that Ana Pastor made at the beginning, highlighting that I do believe that there's a lot of things alike of what we have heard in the differences, and I would say that something that is pretty clear, aside from what we have been said, is that there's no recipe that can be reproduced. So because every process is completely different, and that is it is how it is so rich, and that is how the difference, the goal, the final goal is the co-creation of the right of the housing and habitat of the people that have not had it recognized or concreted by other means. And I think it's important to differentiate, and we can maybe reflect about the need, about like part of the final agreement about what it is, the social production and what it is not. Because I do believe that in one of the participations, for example, they gave us a little bit of the impression that it was in another session getting confused with the social living, social housing that has other different characteristics. Like, for example, one that is the no control from the beneficiaries of the same about the process. So I do believe that those types of things should be considered related to with the obstacles that are faced according to the state, and the state gives a certain budget. I do believe that in Latin America, and I'm only speaking from here because it is the region that I know the best, we do have experiences in this sense. And this is linked to what Joseph mentioned, because in Mexico, for example, as in other countries, the state is also giving resources to this production, but the times that it places, for example, are times that make it harder with a participative design, that it is truly broad, that allows people to be involved. And those resources are focused also to the more to the families than to the collectives. And we can speak about this more, but there's an experience in Latin America also for that specific point of view. The obstacle when the state finally we achieve it to support the social production. That is all. And thank you so much. This is everything from my side.
Thank you very much, Maria Sylvia. I think now we are slowly getting to clearly understand the synthesis of our vision. And now I would like to ask Adriana to give us her strategic contribution so that we can have an overall common vision of the work that we're currently doing. Adriana, over to you.
Thank you so much, Leon. I will try to be very brief before we go to the next round and to the speakers. A lot has been said that I fully agree with. I really loved the summary that we started with and all many other interventions, but thank you so much, Anna, for highlighting so clearly what are the common values, the common strategies, and the common challenges. I just want to also highlight 4 things that I feel I heard again and again and again, resonating with everyone in what I see as a very strong common understanding of what the social production of habitat is. And some of them might take us to the next round as well. The first one, I think, has to do with something that has been emphasized a few times. It is not so much about the common how, the common whether the strategies or the phases or the orders are the same, but the common values or qualities. And in those common qualities, everyone emphasized again and again the following 4. First, the fact that social protection of habitat protects the social function of housing and land. And this is what we mean about non-for-profit processes. Second, that it constitutes a critical means to advance and practice direct democracy. This has been said in different ways, but I think that is very, very important to understand that. Third, that it entails collective grassroots control. The question of control appears again and again and again, the control of the protagonists in the process. And fourth, that is guided by common values of, and I mentioned just a few of the many that have been mentioned: conviviality, inclusion, self-determination, and autonomy, among others. The second thing that I think that was reiterated and again resonated across the board and across all the regions was the fact that the social production of habitat is not outcome oriented. In other words, in simple, it's not just about getting a roof over our heads. It's fundamentally process oriented. And this means that its key aim is to enhance the capacities of those taking part. And in that process, to become fully entitled citizens. We have to remember this because this means that when we look at people who are embedded in the process of social production of habitat, we find that over time, women and men who participate in this process become very fluent in claiming further rights, right to water, right to sanitation, right to energy, and of course, the right to the city. The third point, and I'm going to stop here, is that I think it's very important, and this is to go back to a point that shows put on the table, which is the fact that the social production of habitat doesn't happen without tension with the state, but it doesn't happen at the back of the state. It always takes place in constant negotiation with the state. To do what? To reclaim control over the deployment of public resources that include land and of course finance. And this is very important again, because it is in that tension that we see completely different systems. We talk about a context where we are dealing with autocratic and authoritarian states. So that presents a set of challenges, which might be different from other contexts where we are dealing with the welfarist state, which presents also its own challenges, or the neoliberal state. So I think that that's perhaps something that we could unpack further in the second round with regards to what advocacy strategies do we need to adopt when confronted those different contexts. But remembering that, again, the social production of habitat is not something that happens at the back of the state, but in constant negotiation with the state. And again, I agree with Sylvia that in the last session, we had great examples about policies that precisely help us to see, to imagine how a different relationship with the state looks like. Thank you.
Adriana, de nous avoir fait cette brillante synthèse.
Thank you, Adriana.
Et l'importance des négociations qui doivent être.
Thank you for having talked to us about the importance of working together as a collective. Sorry, I can no longer get Leon.
شكرا أريدي، وشكرا لي، وشكرا لكل
Thank you very much.
We can capture you now.
Thank you, Leon.
I wanted to thank Adriana for her brilliant report on what we have talked about this problem and about this common vision that we are creating together. And in terms of the three presentations, it might be interesting now to again open the floor for discussions so that we can try and resume everything that has been said. Thank you.
Thank you, Leon. Now, moving to the experiences. Leon, would you please close your microphone? Thank you. Now moving to the experiences of the social production. Once we get to identify the main factors, we can start to have a strategy together. We starting to hear about detailed experiences. I would like to provide or to introduce the first Magdalena Ferniza, and I hope that I pronounced her name correctly. She's a sociologist, advisor of civil associations and housing cooperatives in HICAL office, expert for research projects in social production of habitat, and coordinator of the Latin American group on social production of habitat. She will participate with us and she will share the experience of the Latin America in relation to the social production of habitat and being a very good also practitioner in this field. Thank you very much. The word is yours.
Gracias, gracias.
Thank you, thank you. Let's share the screen. Here. Well, thank you so much for the invitation. It is a real honor to be here among you, sharing this work that is not mine. I am the voice of so many colleagues, men and women, that have participated in this process throughout so many years. For me, it was really important to carry out this exercise of reviewing everything that we had been doing during this process. Because even if we had said that we were gonna do it in the event this year, the truth of the matter is that we didn't accomplish it. So I believe this presentation will enable us that in our next event or any other preparatory activities that we can have will allow us to enrich our message. Well, the regional group for Latin America for social production of habitat is a group that is integrated and is consolidated and works a lot according to the events on social production of habitat that we have annually. All these events where we participate, we have around 30 organizations, 10, 14 countries of Latin America. So this event is where you freely participate, organizations, people will be presenting the activities that they have been organizing throughout the year. How we created this group? Well, this working group was had its origin from the Urban Social Forum as an alternative and popular. That is a side forum from the World Forum. We were eager to give voice to those that have no voice during those spaces, hear us among each other, and really share all these transformative experiences of social production of habitat in the region, and then build collectively the advocacy actions to move forward in this domain. We can be talking about 3 different stages in the integration and consolidation on the work of this group. The first stage that goes from year 2015, 2016, and 2017. Essentially, during that time, we organize ourselves in order to shed light, to spread transformative actions that we were undertaking. We decided to create an editorial committee. In HIC Latin America, there was already an experience that a publication could bring transformative changes. Now we wanted to prove that publication, and then we wanted to highlight so many other things. So we created for your presentation in full screen, so everybody can read it. Thank you so much. Sorry for the interruption. Thank you. Let me move this a little bit here. There we go. We created a editorial committee. We developed this advocacy strategy, and then we start highlighting the importance of improving our communication strategies. And we, at the time, we didn't have that much online going on. So we reviewed the exchanges of experiences of the first year. It's a very important year, the second year, because we start to move it forward to Habitat 3. So we started to create since 2000 HIC way to participate in that space. We reviewed the agreements. We created popular committees on Habitat 3. So 2017, we were at the same time where the award was given to transformative cases, and then we started to move forward in a very prolific event where many people attended from many countries, and that in that event, that award was given in one of the most important communities in our countries. Here are some of the pictures, outcome of these 3 years of work. It's an online book that you can take a look at, and there we will be, you will find 30 Latin American experiences coming from 17 countries and cases that involve 60,000 families. That's an online book that can make yourself available. And then year 2019, where we are starting to do things online from the pandemic years, where everything started to be complicated. Communications were complicated. The planet just went crazy, and we started living very difficult moments. There was a lot of hardship going on, and then we realized that our coalition, our regional space, had achieved great things. So starting out with 2019, the last year that we were able to have on-site events or activities, we started to concentrate to work on the times that the countries were undergoing in a very important way. We had to shift quickly because of what came after, so started doing local materials on the traditional and alternative ways of financing. So heading to COP events, COP25. And then the alternatives vis-a-vis the climate change were not considering supra-industrialization, but we started to look backwards, trying to rescue what we had as culture, traditions that were constructive and that arise from all different countries. We started to do a very important work to that regard. We started to do research. We created an exhibit among different countries. This exhibit, this fish posters made it all the way to COP25 and then strengthened internally the different organizations that were working around these local materials. We started to create this network among us and producing more materials. We started to talking about finance, book just being published, and we started to see what were the alternatives on financing amongst us, beyond banks and all of that. It is a little bit of what Leon was alluding a while ago, how we can have financing alternatives to what we want to do. So there were a series of agreements that were reached regarding the spread, incidents, or advocacy, and then the next campaign of local materials. 2020, pandemic hits worldwide, emergency, very difficult year, and our event had to be held online on the next year. Obviously, that year, the most important thing was to be talking about the challenges and the strategies that we had vis-a-vis this worldwide phenomena that was so serious, and the supports that we needed and articulations that we had to do. And even though among all of this, we continued with our agenda. We had to state what had to be stated and in a very strong way. And we continued working at that time. Then we create a manifest, giving a very important strength to disclosing, spreading that manifest. And we started talking that the way out is not within the system, but that we need to change things. And towards 2021, we started to work precisely on the alternatives that we see vis-a-vis this crisis of the model, this crisis of our civilization. And once again, we started discussing the topics that we used to be dealing with in the previous years, and that have to do with the self-management instruments and topics that are related to cooperativist models, sustainability, and legislation and communication budgets at large regarding social production of habitat. So we started to go beyond events. We started to encourage on the World Day of Habitat, and then we created this. I think I'm running out of time. It's this one that you see on the screen. We have this declaration that has a support, that is a support for what was going on in Venezuela at that time. This is the Counter 2020, event 2020 that has to do with the pandemic. And then we have this conversation. And then 2021, that is a very difficult event, no conditions to organize it. We had to do it in 2 separate days, online. The conditions were not met at that time because of the different difficulties of the different countries, and we started innovating on these new technologies in these different ways of discussing the issues, trying to do a little bit more kind and pedagogic, the attendance, the participation, engagement on those events. We achieved some things. on the definition of task and with some people that are accountable, responsible for it. It was a very difficult event that we must be talking about the task. So we reached 2022 with what would be corresponding to the we had a new encounter or new event where we highlighted engagement. Engagement from those that did not connect during the events. And then last, on the 2021, it was kind of difficult. And we started to hear attentively the voice of others on the topics that were our main concern. So we organized previously to this event some conversations online that were spread through the platforms such as Facebook, YouTube, and that were quite successful. During these conversations, colleagues, men and women from different countries participated. And what was nice is that those were people that not necessarily have the voice in other events. So we selected the topic and our colleagues, men and women, participated on those conversations, and the outcome of those conversations led to the materials that we would be using in the event for that year. So we had a quite large audience, so and many tasks came out from this conversation. And we started working on those all the way to year 2023. 2023 is a very important year because it starts to shape all these tasks that had been waiting there to be taken care of. And because we didn't have at the time that working plan. So in this year, 2023, in addition to accomplishing one of the tasks that was very important task with Latin American session of habitat, we formalized some commissions for the tasks that were still pending. So we are moving forward to 2024. There's a proposal of holding it in La Habana, Cuba. So those are the tasks, events, and you can take a look at my presentation. We have shared the links with you so you can have more information. And the last thing that I would like to say, we have a WhatsApp group, 63 members in that WhatsApp group, 128 participants in our email list. We spread the information of all the minutes and statements that we have done as a regional working group. Thank you so much.
شكرا جزيلا مجدلينا على هذا العرض القيم. يعني تلك التجربة التي ذكرتها هي يمكن أن تلخص بشكل ما كنا نتحدث عنه من البداية. التجربة العملية قد تكون
I would like to thank you very much. This is an embodiment of the experience. Do you have any question about the experience and the presentation of Magdalene before moving to the other part? If you have any question, please write it in your chat box, or maybe you can raise your hand if you would like to share it now.
حسنا. بهذا ننتقل إلى أنا بليز، رجاء تفضل.
Anna, please.
Magdalena, que realmente fue muy completo, y por haber pasado.
I want to thank Magdalena. It was so complete, and as being part of that group, I would like to add that it is quite rich, that group, because every time where you organize an event, an encounter of social production of habitat, we take advantage to get to know, really tour around, being part of the same rich and safe continent such as Latin America. In this case, we do not know each other. It's very important for us to get to know each other in the territory and the shared experiences in the territory. That is what we have done in this process. And thank you so much, Malena. Thank you, Anna. It is such important part of our working group, my colleague, Ana Pastor, my dearest colleague.
شكرا مشتاقين أيضا على التوضيح. الآن ننتقل إلى الزميل ليون. ليون رجاء خذنا إلى النشاط التالي.
Thank you, Anna, for this explanation. Let's move to our colleague, Leon.
Thank you for giving me a chance again to be able to present our second presenter, who is Nina Quintas, and who holds a master's degree in innovation, human development, and sustainability. And she worked with a Swiss NGO, Abermont, and particularly worked on cooperative habitat and models of habitat. She's coordinating a network of core habitat, which works on encouraging the exchange on international experiences, research, and documentation. Her presentation will be on habitat and the housing organizations based on communities and which are allied around the world. So we're going to give the chance to Nina Quintas, who will make a presentation, which will be a PowerPoint presentation. Thank you very much, and welcome, Quintas. You can now have the time to speak. Thank you, Leon, for the presentation.
Yes. Can you just let me know if
vous pouvez le
you're
faire.
seeing everything is okay?
Perfecto.
Bueno.
Se ve bien.
Moi, je le vois. Moi, je le
Perfect.
vois.
Thank you very much.
Yes, everything's fine.
I'm hearing someone on the, yeah, okay. So hi everybody. Thank you, Leon, again for the introduction. Before starting, I would just like to thank all the team from HIC for the invitation. It's really a pleasure to participate in those exchanges and with so many allies from all over the world. So thank you. So as Leon said, today I will be talking a little bit about the Cohabitat Network. The Cohabitat Network is a nonprofit informal network of civil society organizations and allies from across the world, which work together in the promotion of people-led solutions to the unequal access to adequate housing. Urbamont, the organization where I work, is responsible for the coordination of the network since 2014. And we do this through a very collaborative process with all other members of Cohabitat. And as you can see on the right, we have more than 20 member organizations. And what is even more interesting is the diversity of those organizations and their missions. So as you can see, we have grassroots organizations such as Catalytic Communities in Brazil and Urbasan in Senegal. We also have members as coalitions and umbrella organizations, such as the Asian Coalition for Housing Rights or FUCFAM, the federation in Uruguay. We also have academic institutions as members, for example, IIT and DPU. So it's for us, this diversity is really a richness, and it's very unique as well to the Co-Habitat Network, because their mission acts in many different fronts to promote community-led housing. And we find that in those different fronts, the work of each of us is very complementary. So there lies the importance of coordinating efforts and having a common voice. But before entering too much in detail of the network, I would just like to dedicate a moment for me to share a little bit our vision of community-led housing with you. I think it's very interesting that we had this discussion on the beginning, and I would just like to add on how we've seen it, which is very, very similar to what was shared here today. So for us, community-led housing is a process by which inhabitants play a leading role in addressing their housing needs, building the city from the bottom up. And together, those residents, they plan, finance, build, manage, and improve housing, public and common spaces, and neighborhoods with this bottom-up process. And with the right support of other actors, for example, through financial support, with technical assistance or political support, those initiatives manage to create a more sustainable and inclusive urban spaces that meet the needs of the most vulnerable, that meet the needs of local communities, while providing solutions to diverse contemporary urban challenges. So that's how we see that's for us what community-led housing means when we talk about it. And now I would like to maybe do a brief history of Co-Habitat to explain you how we've managed that all those organizations that I've mentioned came together at the center of this network. So it all started in 2014 at the Social Production of Habitat Forum organized in Geneva by the initiative of Urbamond. And as you can see in the picture below, we have managed to get together at this time some of the main organizations and actors working with community-led housing at the time. For instance, we had representatives from the Asian Coalition for Housing Rights, from HIC, from Slum Dwellers International, World Habitat, Cooperative Housing International, and so on. And from this forum was born the will to develop a common strategy and to promote an international community-led housing movement, a common space in which we could all share our experiences and learn from each other, and that would allow each other's mission to amplify and reach international spaces with a common agenda, all along fostering collaborations between those different organizations. And that was the beginning of what was later known as the Co-Habitat Network. And this was in 2014. So throughout the years, as the years followed, we have collectively developed different tools to promote community-led housing. For example, I've put them here. We have crafted a digital collaborative platform that was used for online documentation of community-led housing projects on a global scale. You can visit this platform today. I will share the link of the website in the chat later. So it's a really an online platform where you can find community-led housing projects all over the world, and they are documented there. So this we've started, and later we've developed as well a different awards process, which we called the Community-Led Housing Awards, and they were held in Latin America, Europe, and Africa from 2015 to 2019. And in those awards, local projects were recognized for inclusive and participatory city making. And those awards, they were held and delivered at different regional meetings in those different regions as well, in which we used to invite strategic stakeholders in order to create spaces for peer exchange, for mutual learning, and for advocacy. We have also developed a pilot financial mechanism, which we called the Solidarity Fund, and this fund intended to work on solutions to the lack of ethical financing for affordable housing. But then, as Magdalena mentioned before, when the pandemic came, we've had to adapt all our functioning, and this has impacted the way that the network used to work, because we could not travel anymore, or we could not organize in-person meetings. So this put on hold some of our activities, for example, the awards, the regional meetings. And through this time, we have also started to reflect and evaluate the tools we had developed so far, the tools that I've just mentioned. Also taking into account the capacity of Urbamundi to develop those tools, because we have, as an organization, very limited human resources and capacity. So particularly during the past year, or year and a half, I would say, we have been rethinking our ambitions as a network, evaluating our capacities, evaluating the process so far, assessing our reach with the tools that we had developed, and most importantly, defining collective priorities with the members of the network for the years to come. And we have managed to develop in this past year a theory of change for the network, which we will be sharing in the website in the beginning of the next year. We have collectively formulated our charter, which will also be made available soon on our website. And in those documents and throughout this process, we have further defined our mission and our ways of collaboration and our strategies for the years to come. So I will share this a little bit with you now, just to give you an example of where we are headed as a network. So according to our mission, the COPTAT network aims at creating a global community and movement of community-led housing actors, and to contribute to the growth and establishment of people-led solutions to realize the right to adequate housing across the world. And how do we collaborate in order to attain this mission? We collaborate by unlocking creativity and learning from each other by sharing our experiences. We collaborate by advocating collectively through joint events, campaigns, publications, public statements, and supporting other members' local struggles. By producing knowledge for different audiences through research, best practices, systematization, international awards, project mapping, and policy papers. And we collaborate by experimenting and promoting innovative financial tools for the emergence and scaling up of community-led housing initiatives. So those are our main lines of action. And just to illustrate what I mean, I think I've selected some of the recent activities that we have carried out on the past 2 years. For example, when we talk about unlocking creativity, we organize several spaces for exchange and mutual learning, in which all partners of the network are invited to participate. And this is ideally done at in-person annual meetings. So our partners get together to answer to some thematic questions, for example, the barriers and the factors that foster community-led housing in different contexts. And then we present this all together, arrive to a common understanding. We reflect on the common practices of each organization all over the world. As you can see here, those are the pictures of the last annual meeting of Cohabitat that was held this year in Barcelona. When I talk about advocating collectively, it is through the organization of joint events, campaigns, publications. So here in the picture, for example, in the right one, you can see many of us at the Habitat Village stands that we organized at the World Urban Forum 11 last year in Katowice. So we can see many partners of the network, and this was a very important stand that we organized because it really made an impact at this event and really brought the voice of communities or grassroots to those international spaces that are often lacking a representation. And on the left, you can see a flyer that we have prepared for a joint event that was held this year at the International Social Housing Festival. And we've had a whole program crafted together through the Habitat Network, talking about community-led housing through different events and discussions, which is all accessed but in our website as well. So my time is running off. I can see I'm finishing. When I talk about producing knowledge, we do so by systematizing projects, by capitalizing those projects, and then documenting and making this documentation available. And we try to be as collaborative as possible throughout this process. And all those different resources can also be accessed in our website. So here are some examples that you can see. We've participated in the case-based contributions for the Gold Report. So we always try in those publications to document the practices from the ground and to produce knowledge based on those experiences. And finally, when I talk about the financial tools, it includes this mechanism that we have developed, but redeveloped this latest year, and also through the organization of events and publications where we approach the topic of ethical finances in different local contexts. All those resources can be accessed in our website. I will share the link. And I will just finish with this picture of our last annual meeting that gathered together many different partners and was very exciting. So thank you very much for your attention. Sorry if I passed the time. And if you have any questions, I would be more than happy to answer.
Muchas gracias, Nina.
Thank you so much, Nina, for this amazing presentation. I would like to take the floor to tell you that we have a few minutes for questions and answers. But maybe Leon, I don't know if you agree, Leon and Hassem, that we could put all of these minutes for questions and dialogue, but also to be able to connect with the next part of ideas of what we can continue doing together.
Yes. Thank you, Areli. I have some network connectivity issues. First, congratulations for the brilliant presentation, Nina, that you've made. And let's give a maximum of 1 minute for participants. 3 people can ask questions, each taking a minute to ask questions to Nina for her presentation. After these 3 questions, I'll then pass it over to Hassem to take it on and present the final strategic discussions that we're going to have. So we have the chance to 3 people who each have a minute, and we would ask that our timekeeper be rigorous. So Diana will use our time in order for us to remain on schedule. Irene, I see you've raised your hand. Irene, over to you.
Thank you. My question to Nina, thank you, Nina, for that presentation. It's very practical, and I think we can already borrow quite a lot from some of the strategies that, as Abamode and the rest of the partners you're implementing to push the question of social production of habitat. My question was in regards to all these tools that you've been able to develop and all these products you've been able to put together. Do you have any success or a sort of progressive case study where you've seen the government agencies actually in the different countries where the partners are located or implementing different projects where we've seen government coming in and actually supporting the place of social production of habitat, and what was the most effective tool that you saw really spoke to the political powers or the duty bearers in those different contexts? Thank you.
Thank you, Irene, for your question. So we have developed a series of case studies that I've actually mentioned in the presentation, analyzing how different projects accessed land and financing. And I will share here on the chat the link towards those case studies. And there you have some examples of partnerships with governments and how they've contributed to the allocation of land and or accessible financing to different projects in different contexts. So I think this is a good resource to take a look and have a sense on how this has worked in different places. And if you need any more resources, I'm happy to share with you later by email as well. On the second part of the question, the tools, I think that for us, what we try to do as a network is really to create those spaces for exchange, and it also helps local organizations to have access to different agendas and to craft a common agenda between all of those organizations. And then I believe that in the center of the network, grassroots organizations, they can really leverage on those exchanges and documentation to approach their local governments for support. So that's more or less how it works for us. I can share you examples later of how grassroots of the network have made successes with their local governments for support, and we try to support them in their own activities. That's not sure if it's clear. I will share the link on the chat now.
Ok, merci Nina. Je pense que pour plus de rationalité,
Thank you, Nina. Now we will take the final two questions together, and then you will respond to them all at once. So you can just compile your notes, and then you can answer to the two remaining questions at once. If anyone would like to ask a question, now is the chance. Thank you.
I see the question of Musa at the chat. I'm not sure if maybe I can answer it directly. Musa asked about
Oui, si c'est possible, en
yes,
une
if
minute.
possible, in 1 minute, you can give a response to Musa.
He asked about the community-led housing awards. So this was one of the tools that we had that was actually discontinued because, as I've mentioned, we had to reevaluate our capacities as Urbamont, and we didn't have the capacity to keep organizing those awards in different regions. And also because one of our partners, the World Habitat, they organized the World Habitat Awards, and we think that it's very complementary to what we had developed. Actually, it was complementary to the awards that we organized was complementary to their awards. And since their awards have gained much more visibility and reach, we advise all organizations interested in these awards to postulate to the World Habitat Awards directly. I can also share the link on the chat now if you're interested. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you, Nina, and thank you, Leo, for this very powerful presentation. And now I will speak in Arabic. شكرا جزيلا مجددا. بالانتقال إلى
Thank
الجزء
you
الأخير،
very
وكما
much again.
خبرناكم مسبقا بأن هذه
Moving to
الجلسة
the last
الأخيرة، وهذا
part.
الجزء
This is the
الأخير
last
الجلسة
session,
الأخيرة،
and this is
ولكن
the last
ليس
part.
نهاية العمل أو نهاية المشروع الذي
This is
بدأنا
not the end of the project. However,
كأعضاء للفريق الاستراتيجي وكمشاركين
just
أيضا،
as
حيث أننا
participants,
كنا سابقا وقد أخذنا هنا
also
إعطاء الأولوية للمحاور
we
المشتركة
give the
للنظام،
priority
الضوء على أوجه
to
التآزر المحتملة
shed
بين
light
النظامين،
on the
وتحديد الأنشطة الرئيسية التي سيتم
main
تطويرها
activities.
نحو
I'm sorry, the
تحقيق
voice is
أهداف
breaking up.
المائية الألفية. I think you lost translation. مندي سامعاني؟ اسمعيني يا مندي؟
Are you listening on the English? حازم, your voice is breaking up a little bit. بيقطع الصوت شوية.
اوكي ثواني. تمام مندي؟
تمام, go ahead.
سامعتني؟ اوكي آسف. بنكمل على اللي كنا بنحكي فيه في
To
الجزء.
continue in the last part of the strategic planning, as we call it, we ask all those present. We have about 8 minutes left to write your strategic recommendations, the main headlines to continue our work. I ask the strategic team, the participants, the facilitators, all those who attended with us, to give us their inputs, strategic inputs that may be priorities to complete in the topic that we started, which is the social production of habitat. So I will ask you in 8 minutes to give us all your inputs. Musa, go ahead.
Hello. Merci de m'avoir donné la
Thank
parole.
you for giving me the floor.
Je m'excuse, je ne vais pas
First of
faire la
all,
présentation.
apologies. I did not introduce myself.
Je suis Moussa Ka,
My name is
représentant de
Musa
l'Afrique
Ka. I am the African representative
au Conseil d'administration de Habitat International,
at the Habitat International Coalition International Board,
mais aussi de l'Association Habitants et Travailleurs de Baraka, Sénégal.
as well as Baraka Association in Senegal.
Je voulais dire, à la lumière des exposés de Madame
Now,
Magdalena et Nina,
given the presentations by Magdalena and Nina,
à mon avis,
in my opinion,
HIC doit intégrer dans ses plans
HIC
stratégiques,
needs to include in its strategic plan,
notamment dans l'espace production sociale de l'habitat,
within the social production of habitat space,
un accent particulier
it should highlight a particular action on
sur la conception,
designing,
le financement
funding,
et la réalisation de l'habitat social.
and the implementation of a social habitat and social habitat programs.
Et aussi mettre en cohérence et en lumière
Then there should also be some consistency and highlighting
les bonnes pratiques
of good practices
produites par ses adhérents et alliés
that are produced by allies and members of the coalition
au niveau sous-régional,
at each sub-region or regional level,
régional et interrégional.
as well as inter or cross-regional levels.
Puisque les bonnes pratiques ne manquent pas dans les 5 régions.
Because we have an abundance of good practices in the 5 regions that make up Habitat International Coalition.
Je vous remercie de votre attention.
Thank you for your kind attention.
شكرا موسى، شكرا على توصيتك
Thank
الهام.
you, Musa. Thank you for your important recommendation. Maha, in 1 minute, please. Go ahead. After these success stories that we have seen, the initiatives, the campaigns that we have witnessed from different countries and regions, I hope that next time there would be shedding more light on the marginalized areas to issue a paper from social production with the experiences, initiatives through sending links from which we can benefit the rest of the countries, the rest of the regions, how they can benefit from the successful initiatives that were successful in having exchanges between people and the government, and the importance of adequate social housing. I'm thinking also if there is something through HIC to have strategic litigation to protect those working in the field of the right of housing, while at the same time for the citizens whose rights are being violated, rights to housing. Thank you. Thank you very much, Maha, on focusing on the legal aspect. It's very important in every social action. Isadora, please, in 1 minute, because there is very little time and after that we'll move on to Anna.
إيزادورا احنا مش سامعين، المايك مغلق. ايوه. نعم، اوكي.
Muchas gracias. Buenos días.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Briefly, a subject that we have spoken about, community cooperation in Mexico in rural areas, has given us a perspective of the stages of work of the social production of habitat different to what have
Production
worked
of
in
habitat
the
different
urban.
of how we have been working on urban, precisely because of the collective ownership of the land and because of the social production of housing with local materials. It is very important to talk about this other way of producing housing and habitat, and thinking about integrality of the habitat, because normally it's being extended in a much more easier way because of the contact that we have with the environment and the community around it that in urban areas. So let's share experiences of what we have been working on and these different ways of connecting urban and rural, but from the different differences that we have on social production of habitat in urban and rural areas. So very quickly, well, thank you so much. Let's go dive into it.
Hassan, you're muted.
Thank you, Isadora. I didn't hear all the Arabic translation. We will listen to Anna, then Irene, then we'll move to Adriana, but please in 1 minute. Thank you. Go ahead, Anna.
Gracias, Hasem. Muy rápidamente.
Thank you, Hasem. Very quickly, here in these sessions, we have been hearing about many concepts that lead us to see. I think that we have to review the concept that we already have on social production of habitat because of everything that we have been hearing as singularities in here. The thing of appraising so much that there is a region that has been working for so many years on social production of habitat. And I think that it will be really important that the other regions can also have their space, a specific space where we can discuss about all these strong things, difficult things that are highlighted in each of the regions, so we can go to a world space so we can move to a world design, so we can do advocacy of public policies as well as in the generation of mind and heart of the people in order to think about habitat of a right for humans and not as a good for humans. And then I think that each space has to be there so we can move forward. So from here, I think that we can have some people responsible that will be leading the way after these sessions. So we can keep on communicating, but I think that there should be a small group integrated by the people that are here.
I'll just jump in, Hazem, so that you can save on time. I think what comes to my mind immediately after this session is as our key output from what we've done for the 4 sessions is maybe we need, and I think this has been alluded to by other speakers, we need to come up with probably a position paper that strongly highlights first what is our common understanding of social production of habitat, and then key pointers that show why social production of habitat is important. And when we speak about the importance of social production of habitat, link it to the other aspects that we spoke about that are cross-linking, such as gender, the issues of climate, the issues to do with affordability, so that it comes out strongly. And then after this, we can strongly link this to the question of the international frameworks that most of the countries have ascribed to. And I remember what we spoke from the last session is the way Habitat 1 did allude to the question of SPH, so we can closely link it to that and have maybe 1 or 2 pages so that as we move to the Human Rights Day on 10th of December, probably in the different countries, the members of HIC could use this paper to also speak about the place of SPH in advancing human rights. Thank you.
شكرا ايرين. اريلي رجاء معك المايك.
Thank you, Irene. Areli, you have the microphone.
Muchas gracias. Quería pedir si Adriana
Thank you so much. I wanted to ask if Adriana wanted to make a final comment. I just want to ask you that before we end the session in the last 3 minutes that we will go over time, let's see the chat. We have the link so you can assess or evaluate the session. We thank Nina and Magdalena for joining us today, the interpretation team. And please don't leave without us taking a picture. So in the meantime, we organize the picture and we put the links on the chat. I don't know if Adriana would like to share a last message with us. Thank you so much, Areli. Final session, very brief message. First of all, huge thank you. A reminder that next Tuesday, we have our General Assembly for the coalition. Please don't forget that all members must join on Tuesday for the General Assembly, December the 5th. 2 final comments. It is wonderful to see the agreement, the energy that we find in this group and this type of events. I think that something that has been highlighted by everybody is the importance of finding each other, working each other, and keep on meeting from there on. There are very specific proposals, and on behalf of the board, I want to reiterate our full support so we can keep on working. We need to achieve solidarity through different regions and the possibility of a political reflection that teaches us, that forces us to see each other, it reflected one in the other. On political advocacy, I believe that there have been key topics that have been addressed here. They're put on the table. And I insist on the fact to keep on working on the relationship with the state through the development and advocacy of public policy. And this means, and I put it on the table, two key issues: land and access to land and control over finances. So, as we have been seeing throughout all these talks, the social protection of habitat is a process that is open eternally, and that is the fight. We need to guarantee the space, the state, and no, because sometimes they're open, sometimes they are closed, and then we have to open them again. Maybe in Argentina, we had a much more advanced scenario, and then, well, we have the risk of going backwards. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Adriana. Well, open your cameras. Diana, could you please lead us in this possibility of taking a picture? Félix nos dice que nos estamos muy lindas en la foto.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Please switch on your camera and give us a very big smile. This is the last session, so you need to make sure you appear. So please give us a very big smile, and I'll take it. Just don't leave yet. Please don't leave yet. I just want to make sure everyone is in the photo. Thank you so, so much. You're looking very nice today. Perfect. Thank you, and see you in the General Assembly. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank
Merci.
you.
Ciao, ciao. Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Merci,
merci,
Thank
bye-bye.
you so
Thank you,
much,
thank you. Bye.
everybody.
Thank
I
you so
remind
much.
you,
De
Bye-bye.
facilitadores.
I remind the group of facilitators, the strategic team, can you please remain a couple of minutes more? All the rest, we thank you so much, and we say goodbye, goodbye, see you soon.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye, see you soon.
Agradecemos también a los intérpretes que se van a quedar con nosotros.
We thank the interpreters that will remain with us. I think that only French will be leaving.
I understand that we can count with Arabic, English, and Spanish in this debrief session, in this
Merci, mais je pense que
yes, and just
moi,
French,
je suis
Leon,
right?
I think Leon says that he would like to have interpretation.
Mandy is here.
Yes, I am here.
Thank you. Perfecto. Entonces, creo que ya solo
Very
quedamos.
well, then I think that only the team is here, right? We can take advantage. Podría...
dans la salle pour le débriefing.
Well, are there people who are missing? Are there people who need not to be here for the debriefing?
La interpretación en francés
we have English interpretation available. We have English interpretation available. We have it available. Okay. Leon says that he'll remain. If there's no interpretation, he'll try to see if he can follow. Thank you.
Bien, pues entonces, muchísimas gracias. Lo primero a decirles es a nuestras compañeras, compañeros facilitadores y facilitadoras y equipo estratégico. Creo que fue una maravillosa sesión. Estoy exhausta, pero quiero escucharles. Quisiera saber qué piensan, a pesar de que no tuvimos mucho tiempo al final para la discusión estratégica, pero sabíamos que esto podía pasar y que en realidad todavía tenemos que reflexionar mucho sobre qué sigue, ¿no? Hacia dónde podemos aprovechar todo el potencial que nos dio este espacio.
Léon, il manque la traduction de l'espagnol, mais on demande de nous applaudir tous, tous les membres, les
I'm sorry,
intervenants
I'm
et les
hearing
facilitateurs.
French on the English side.
Yo la sentí como una reunión muy de síntesis, ¿no? Donde se pudo lograr retomar, fue muy bueno el trabajo.
I'm sorry, I don't hear from the Spanish.
Sorry. We are not getting the English interpretation. I am.
Y podemos parar la grabación también, ¿verdad, Diana?
No
Para
English.
No English, pero Pelisa dijo que sí había.
Okay, let me.
If not, I'm happy to I can only stay for a few minutes, but I'm happy to interpret English, Spanish only, sorry, and the other way around.
So we do have the Spanish interpreters. I'm just chatting with them privately to find out what's happening.
Ok. Esperamos un momento, Ana, que están viendo qué pasa con la intérprete. Y quizá mientras podría... Bueno, tenemos que esperar.
Really sorry, we didn't get that. What have we decided to do? Will we wait for the interpretation or we'll go ahead?
The problem is that I don't know what is happening with Tlatoli. Maybe we can hear Leon in French if he wants to speak, and maybe Adriana or I don't know who can help us to translate Leon. or
we have interpreters in the room. We have interpreters in the room. We'll
Just
stay
for
in.
information, we still have
them. They're
French
here.
English interpreters online.
They are here.
We are here.
¿Está solucionado?
Oui, moi je pense, si c'est possible, on peut faire avec.
I think if it's possible, then we can continue.
Oui, je disais que si c'est possible, qu'on travaille
From
avec
Leon, if it's possible, then we can have this solution so that we can work quickly and get the evaluation that we're supposed to do.
Now it's English and Spanish. Entonces, Ana, continúa, por favor.
No, yo decía que...
Anna, please continue. Well, I was saying that I think it is a quite rich session, the synthesis, taking all those elements that will be the most common of social production of habitat among us will be good. I think, and at least I felt very strong the work team of the facilitators, that we did not know each other, Areli, that we did not know you, all that previous work that we did in each of those meetings to be creating that roadmap, having to choose each word, support, work by Diana, Pelisa. It seems to me that all those contributions that were ongoing of this strategic team, and we had our chair that was present in attending all our events, I think that that was a way of moving forward very nicely, all the social production of habitats, where we have singularities that are quite important. Above all, MENA, Latin America, that will be very important to move forward. so we can have that common voice on HIC on this topic. I believe that there is a little noise going on the state and the organizations. Joseph brought it up, and I think that Adriana reconsider it nicely, because I think that there's something there that we do not all agree. I go more for what Adriana was saying, that to be impacted with the states, that the states can understand the social protection of habitat, and please don't get tired of fighting. I think that now Adriana can take the floor. Can I ask you, Leon, to open your camera, Hala, so we can also have a picture of this wonderful team that Ana is mentioning? I agree with her, Phil. It has been a pleasure and an honor to be collaborating with all of you. So please, cameras on, and Adriana, we're ready to hear you. I don't have that much to add. I have a school meeting to attend as well. I would like
I
to
also
also
wanted
say
to say that
I'm
I'm
so
very, very happy of all the work that has been done
this
by this
wonderful
team,
I think that we
which is
have
made
so
up of
many
dynamic
dynamic
people.
I want
I
to
want to
thank the
thank the
strategic
strategic
team
team
that
that
There are two people speak. I think it's the French and Spanish on the page. Yeah, please go on.
Oui, mais je voudrais dire que vraiment je suis ravi.
I wanted to say that I'm very happy of all the work that we have achieved here. We have raised a good voice, and I think we have just planted a very large tree that will grow very large. And I'm sure that we will have very beautiful fruits in the near future. Thank you very much, the team. Thank you to all the support we have in this whole process. It's the kind of moments that we're supposed to have moving forward. Thank you very much to the Secretary General. Thank you very much to everyone. Thank you.
Gracias, León. Adriana, perdona, ¿puedes
Merci, Leon. Adriana, can you tell us something? Just thinking, do you have an idea which is the road that we should continue? In high school, we said it's not only doing a working group of social production of habitat. We have a previous road to take. There's already a very strong group in Latin America. It's not just about creating working groups and duplicating efforts. See if from the other regions there will be an echo, and what can we keep on doing?
Gracias, Arely. Muy brevemente, porque ahora sí tengo que salir con
Very
patines.
briefly, because I have to leave on time.
Sorry. Estoy parando la interpretación, disculpen. A ver, creo que
I believe that it is very important to continue. ¿Puedo participar? ¿Puedo decir algo?
escuchar a Adriana, que se tiene que ir?
First, we want to hear Adriana because she has to leave. Please hold on a minute, Leona. As you like. I just don't want to be ahead of anybody. Go ahead, Adriana. As I was saying, I think that you have seeded, you have plowed a seed. It's very impressive. It is very important to water it as if we were in the springtime. Water it right away. The group that exists is very strong. It is a regional group here. We have to continue with a clear mind the value of a cross-regional group, a group that will give us a space for solidarity, a joint advocacy, and political reflection. Three things that, if we don't have them, we cannot move forward. I think that is essential. There have been specific proposals. I was saying, yes, we have the December 10th that is just around the corner, 1 week. Let's success group, but everything that can glue us together for this group to keep on having this common identity and growing, we have to grab it. What is important is the next immediate steps. It is not a group that just was created yesterday. This has to be something from today and from now on to the future. What Ana Pastor has said at the beginning regarding the common understood on those three dimensions, common as mission and value, common as strategies, common in challenges. That is very important. And something that I think was critical that happened at this session, what you can read out of it, is that common is not articulated only within one region. I have seen common challenges between one country, one context in a region, and in another region completely different. The same applies for strategies. Yes, we have cross sections, but yes, I know that there's a little bit of confusion, social production of habitat, and so production of social housing. But on the way, we will clarify things. Thank you so much and congratulations. Kudos. Thank you, Adriana. No, we know that you have another meeting to attend. We will be missing you as our chair. Yes, a lot we will be missing you. I will miss you too. Well, thank you, Adriana. And now, Leon, I think from Tlatoli, they are supporting us, so you can be translated.
Merci.
Thank you very much to everyone. I would like to offer my sincerest thanks. I believe the most important things have been said, and we need to move from theory to practice. Given that this group is here, we need to make it sustainable, and together we should see how we can transform our different regions so that social production of habitat becomes a reality for everyone. Once again, thank you. And since our president, I wanted to call her Madam President, I wanted to say support her candidature to come back. But all in all, thank you. It's true that we had a lot of technical challenges wherever we were. Sometimes it is linked to internet access problems. In my country, we have a serious problem on access to internet, which makes work difficult. But we hope that now going forward, things will improve in order to improve the quality of our communication. Thank you, Aurelie. Thank you, Pelisa. Thank you to all of you. This team was a team that was formidable. Once again, thank you.
Thank you so much, Leon. I want to take advantage of this 10 last minutes. Maybe, Diana, you can help us out with this part. This is the last slide that I did not show during the session, but this is to show what follows: the evaluation, consolidation, and the follow-up stage that we had agreed to have as a team with you as facilitators. And that is what is coming up for the first quarter 2024, sorry. We have to think about what we obtain and what are the topics where we have to go in deeper. We have to have a repository of all materials that have been shared. Right now, they are being translated. Many of the presentations from our speakers, we want to translate it to all languages, some professionally translated, others with Deep Pro. There is no budget for more. So we have to think in the best way to offer this to our membership and partners from HIC. We will have podcasts, and we had foreseen, Diana, and I would like you to clarify, as you are seeing that in the climate justice team, we still pending a couple of meetings from each of the groups to collectively think what will the action plan, either climate justice or social production of habitat. All of this will be happening next quarter. So I don't know if there is any thought, comment, Diana, from the Secretariat that you can share with us, at least to keep it in mind. Or if there's any question from facilitators, please go ahead. Diana, if you please.
Thanks, Areli. I think I'll start us off and quickly leave the floor to the facilitators. Just to thank you again and congratulate you for a very wonderful 4 sessions. I think in regards to the next steps, what I can say to this, Areli, is that it's best if facilitators note that we will be communicating to them, hopefully next week, early next week, on the date to save. I think it's important that the learning officers first have a discussion based on the current situation, Areli, so that we are able to see what works best in regards to this. But according to your collaboration agreements, is that we need to be having a reflection meeting in the month of December. So after the reflection meeting, then from January to March, we will be now working on the podcasts, which is a very exciting process where we will, as the learning officers, prepare what we call the podcast scripts. And then we will engage you in reviewing these scripts and in recording the audio that will be put together as a podcast. So I think those are 2 key next steps that we'll be having together. We just don't have the specific date for the reflection meeting today, but I'm sure we'll be able to communicate that to you next week so that we're able to agree on a day together, or also to see what can happen within the month of December. I know most of us will be leaving for the holidays, so we want to also keep that in mind as we have this discussion. So let us get back to you on that, and we shall agree together on the best way forward. Areli, back to you.
Thank you so much, Diana. Yes, we will be in touch with everybody. We will all go out for holidays, either for Christmas or whatever celebration you have. You call it winter or summer for some in the other hemispheres. And when we come back at some moment in time in January, at the end of January, we will be contacting you once again to do some planning. The last part of what we have agreed when you were accepted as facilitators, in order we have to complete your payment. We have still pending was that we have been closing all this consolidation and follow up. We will go to payments. We still have 4 minutes with interpretation. Any more comments? Well, we will have another time during our reflection and planning. We can be discussing further. But first of all, I want to thank you. At the beginning, everything seems so complex to take this process from so diverse contexts and really be reaching common agreements. And it has been so wonderful to have this team, Areli, Diana, Pelisa, that have been accompanying us. You have made all of this easier. So thank you so much. And thank you to the rest of the facilitators team, because I personally have learned so much. So it has come in very handy. Thank you so much, Virginia. I think that co-learning has been since day one until today for all of us. Something else that you would like to add, Maja, Sam, Irene? You have 2 minutes.
I think mine is just to say thank you for this opportunity also to be in the co-learning space. I think when we start saying Thank you. It makes us feel like it's a goodbye, but we've already agreed that we still have a little bit of more engagements especially in the year 2024. But I also want to thank you all, especially the support we've gotten from Areli, Pelisa, and Diana. Thank you so much for your commitment, and also to the rest of the co-facilitators. It's been good for me, especially learning from your different contexts and also the passion that you have. Anna, Virginia, Hazem, Maha, Leon, from your different contexts. It's been amazing, and I hope that our engagements will proceed beyond this. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, Irene.
Thank you so much, Irene.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy dealing with you. It was a new and successful experience because there were participants from different countries, from MENA, Latin America. Thank you very much to all the facilitators. I benefited and learned from you all. Thank you all.
Muchas gracias a ti, Maja, porque eres la única facilitadora que no es de una organización.
Thank you, Maja, because you are the only one that are not from an organization that are HIC members. You have been so generous with all your knowledge, your time, and you have contributed so much to this team. So a special thanks to you for being friend, HIC partner, and obviously to all of you that are HIC members and that have put all your passion into this. Thank you. Hazem, do you want to add something else? You still have 1 minute.
First of all, most important, I would like to thank Areli, Pelisa, and Diana as assistants from the strategic group. Also, thank you for all the support, all the work that we did together. In short, the idea in the beginning was difficult, the social production of habitat. But today, I believe that the impact has been achieved, and we should be proud of what we have achieved. In total, I believe that what we wanted to disseminate has reached more people with your efforts and with the efforts of the team of facilitators, of course, with the different places that they are in. I benefited a lot, and I was honored to be with you, and I hope also that we continue forward with more activities together. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Maravilloso, pues.
Wonderful. So let's keep this idea that Adriana and Anna have said, that everything has been set on the table. We have plowed the seed that we need to water from now on, so we can continue with interregional dialogue and move forward in this common understanding that we were missing. The road is long, but I also believe that we could contribute with a little bit throughout this space. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for the interpreters team that have remained with us generously. And we will be in touch. Thank you by chat and mail. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.